Hey guys, it's Mr. Roos here, and I'm going to help you out with the start of the 2.6 guided note. So what we're going to be looking at is the third way that we can learn to solve a quadratic formula, or say that again. We're going to solve a quadratic equation, and that's by using the quadratic formula. So we've learned to solve them by like factoring or graphing, and then we've learned how to use or solve them by completing the square. Now what we're going to look at is the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula is kind of derived like this. We could write any quadratic equation as, something's x squared plus something x plus c equals 0. All right, and we could find those out. Now, I'm not going to require you guys to do this, but this would be a great way to get some bonus point later on, is have you guys make a video of going through the step. So if I wanted to figure out what x was by completing the square, like if these were numbers, what I would have to do first, I would have to divide everything by a. All right, and so I would get x squared and then plus b over a x plus c, oh, I put 2, b over a plus c over a equal to 0. All right, so when I want to complete the square, what we need to do is to move this over to the other side and get a blank on both sides. So the next step, we would get like x squared plus b over a x plus blank equals negative c over a plus blank. Okay, so far so good. Now to go with this blank, I need to take this term, I need to cut it in half and square it. So b over a divided by 2 is b over 2a, and then I would need to square it. So this becomes a b squared over 4a squared. b squared over 4a squared. Yeah. Take the term, cut it in half, and square it. Okay, so completing the square, that means I can write it out as an expression like this, and this becomes x. We got a plus sign in the middle, and then just this b over middle term cut in half, or the square root of that, so b over 2a. And now this side here, if I want to combine these together, let's see, I would have to get a common denominator. So in order to make this match up with the 4a squared, I'm going to have to multiply the top and bottom here by 4a. So I got to times this by 4a and times this by 4a. So this becomes negative 4ac over 4a squared plus b squared over 4a squared. So it'd be probably better to write this as x plus b over 2a squared equals b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. Okay, kind of run out of room, so I'm going to have to put more of it here, but all right, so when we get to completing the square, this is all a really generic term so far, expression so far. The next thing we do is we take the square root of both sides. So I get x plus b over 2a and then equals plus or minus the square root of this whole expression, b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. Now when it comes to taking the square root of a fraction, I'm going to start writing this over here, is that I could take the square root of the top and the square root of the bottom. Now this expression here, the square root of the top doesn't come out. It's just plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. But the bottom here, 4a squared, I can take the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of a squared is a. Now the last thing we need to do is just minus this b over 2a over. So x equals negative b over 2a plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And this is awesome because our expression, both of these have a common denominator, so we can combine them into one expression. We get x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And hopefully that sounds familiar. So what we did here is we found out the quadratic equation, quadratic formula. Yeah, no, wait. No, you're fine. Just by completing the square in all generic terms here. So we can use this formula here if we have any problem. We have x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And we can use this for any equation. So this will work no matter what happens. So let's put it to the test. So let's look at this expression here. We could try to factor it, what two numbers multiply together to give us negative 27, add together, get negative 4. We could move this over and divide and try to complete the square. But we can just use the formula. So since we have the formula x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, we can just plug everything in. All right, so b is negative 4. So we have negative 4, so that becomes a positive 4, plus or minus the square root of b squared. Now, since it's negative 4, when we square it, it still becomes a positive 16. All right, then minus 4 times a is 3, c is negative 9, all over 2 times a, 3. So let's start simplifying this. We get 4 plus or minus the square root of 16, and then let's see, what's this? What's 4 times 3 times negative 9? It's going to be a positive. 12 times 9 is 90 plus 18, that's 108. All over 2 times 3 is 6. So let's keep this going. Let's see, we get 4 plus or minus the square root of, if we add these together, 108 plus 16, that is 124 over 6. Okay. Now what we can do here, square root of 124, we got to break that down. So off to the side here, 124, that is 2 and 61. Is that really it? 61 breakdown at all? That's got to. No, it's not 2. It's 2 and 62. I was like, I know I can divide that by 4. It's 2 and 31. So we can factor out a 2. So we get 4 plus or minus the square root of 2 radical 31 over 6. And the last thing we can do here is to divide all of these outside numbers by 2. And so we get 2 plus or minus 1 radical 31 over 3. And there's the problem. So this would have been an extremely difficult problem to factor. One, we probably couldn't factor it. There's no way we'd be able to guess these numbers here. To complete the square, this wouldn't have been easy either because we'd have gone through. So this is one of the scenarios here that this was a really bad situation where everything that didn't work out right, but we're still able to get the answer. All right, so that's what's nice about the quadratic equation, is that we can use it no matter what. So let's keep looking here. Do some more problems here. All right, some more practice. Let's see. How can we use the quadratic formula to solve this one? All right, so x equals negative b. So b is negative 9. If I make that negative, it's positive 9. Plus or minus the square root of b squared. Negative 9 squared is 81. Minus 4 times a is technically 1. Times c is 27. All over 2 times a is 1. All right, so let's see. We'd get 9 plus or minus the square root of 81 minus, all right, what's 4 times 27? Let's see. 4 times 25 is 100 plus 4 times 2 is 8, so it's 108. All over 2 times 1 is 2. All right. So then what we need to do is let's subtract. So we get 9 plus or minus the square root of, 81 minus 108. That would be what? Negative 27 over 2. All right. So the square root of negative 27, we know that's going to become an imaginary answer. So we're going to have plus or minus some imaginary answer here. Let's break down radical 27 to see how this works. All right, 27 is 9 and 3. That's 3 and 3. So 1 3 gets to break outside. Another 3 stays inside. So this is 3i radical 3. And then all over 2. And we look at our outside numbers, 9, 3, and 2. We cannot divide them. And so this is the complete answer. So with these quadratic formulas is that we can use them for any easier problem, but they're what we have to use for these difficult problems. So we'll keep doing practice here to make sure we're all set, ready to go here. All right, let's look at this problem here. Next two, and then we're gonna maybe look at the CYU for a tough problem. Okay, so here we go. X equals, I'm gonna just do it over here because I know these take up a lot of room. X equals negative b, so 6 is positive, so it'd be negative 6 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so 6 squared is 36, minus 4 times a is 2 times c is 3 all over 2 times a is 2. So we get negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 3 is 24. All over 2 times 2 is 4. So this becomes negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus 24 is 12 over 4. All right, so let's break down the 12 off to the side. 12 is 4 times 3, 2 times 2. So we can break a 2 out and leave a 3 inside. So negative 6 plus or minus the square root, 2 square root of 3 over 4. We just need to look at our outside numbers of negative 6, 2, and 4. We can divide them all by 2. So the answer would be x equals negative 3 plus or minus 1 radical 3 over 2. There we go. Hopefully not too bad. All right. One more to go here, and then we'll look for the toughest one that I think is going to be on the CYU. All right, so let's this. We got x equals negative b. B is negative 2, so if we make that negative, it would be positive 2. Plus or minus the square root of 2 squared is 4. Minus 4 times a is 3 times c is 7. All over 2 times a is 3. So let's see, we get 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 17 is 70 plus 14, that'd be 84. All over 2 times 3 is 6. So this is x equals 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 80 over 6. So we know we're going to have an I here because it's a negative. We just got to break down 80. See, that's 8 and 10, 4 and 2, 2 and 5, 2 and 2. Okay, so we have one pair of 2's that go outside and another pair of 2's that go outside. This 5 stays inside. The 2 and 2 that go outside make 4, so it'd be 4i radical 5 all over 6. We just look at our outside numbers, 2, 4, and 6. We can divide them all by 2, so we get x equals 1 plus or minus 2i radical 5 over 3. Okay, so not too bad. Hopefully not too bad. You guys have done this before in Algebra 1. It's probably just not got crazy numbers like we've been getting right here. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the CYU for tonight, 2.61. Let's get to your class, Algebra 2. Let me look for a tough problem here. Let's preview this. Question 6 questions or 8 questions. Oh, just 6. All right, quadratic formula. All right, they give us a couple examples here. All right, this one's going to be plus or minus I radical something. This one looks like it's just 2 straight up answers. Should be fine. 2 straight up answers should be fine. Ooh, that one looks a little complicated. That one looks complicated and it has an I. So let's do this last one here. All right, So let's do x equals negative b. So that's going to be negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared is 4 minus 4 times a is 3 times c is 1 all over 2 times a is 3. So we'd get negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 4 times 3 is 12 times 1 is 12 is 6. So we get negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 12 is negative 8. All right, so let's break that down. We know it's going to be negative 2 plus or minus, since it's the square root of negative 8, we're going to have an I here. Let's break down the 8 to the side. It's 4 and 2, 2 and 2. Got a pair of 2s. 1, 2 gets to go outside. The other one stays inside. We look at our outside numbers here, 2, 2, and 6, and we can divide them all by 2. So it should be negative 1 plus or minus I, 1i, radical 2 over 3. All right. So I think you guys should be good with this assignment here. Remember, you can retake it, rewatch these videos if you need any help. And yeah, you should be good. If you have any questions, make sure you guys ask in class. If not, I'll see you guys next time.